when we take this ID, neutralize it, and bring it to our labs, we're then able to leverage our national power. And we do it through biometrics, through DNA, components, and everything else. And then we're able to get information on the enemy, just like we do in the police world, and get that information back to the battlespace owners to pursue the enemy. So that's what I just did up until June, and now I'm in charge of a training support brigade here at Fort Dix. Prior to that, I was in Afghanistan 05, 06, again in Kandahar, and it was all disparate elements out there. And in this last element, we had Marines, Airmen, Coast Guard, sailors. My deputy commander was a sailor, so we have the whole branch. We have the best of our nation. And then I was in Iraq 03, 04. But I'll tell you three things. You know, young men and women join the military. A lot of us may think we want to join because of the American flag, mom and pop, apple pie, the whole 9 yards. But when the fighting goes and the bullets are flying, you know, the men and women, I tell you, there's women out there. In my last assignment, when I was Battalion Task Force Commander, I had MPs, and I had 4 women. And when I had to relieve the platoon sergeant, I put Staff Sergeant Ernst in charge of that, a female. She did outstanding. But nonetheless, and the enemy doesn't know who we are. When we have an element moving down range, they don't know if we're CSS, a headquarters element, an infantry platoon or whatever. They're going to engage us, and we're going to engage them back and bring wood to their ass. And so the point I'm trying to make is, when the bullets are flying, those men and women are fighting for their buddies on the left and right side. And I'll tell you that we have by far the best equipment. And I'm assuming there's no Americans here, and if there wasn't, I'd still say the same thing. That because of you, our nation, we have the very best. And I tell our soldiers, our sailors, all of our warriors, look at what we have. Compare your equipment to anybody else. A perfect example is what you call these MRAPs, these vehicles that you see right now. In 2006, the Hummer, we know the Humvee, I was in D.C. for a little bit, and they said, hey, we have met its usefulness. It is over with. This flat-bottom vehicle can no longer be used. We're going to go to this V-hole shaped vehicle called an MRAP, mine resistance, etc. vehicle. Here we are, 3 years later, in November last year, the day before Thanksgiving, I'm on the second generation of an M-ATV. What other nation can do that? This vehicle made by Oshkosh was the Cadillac of the Cadillacs. I mean, they told me, they said, hey, Jess, drive this 55 miles per hour, stop it. I stopped it. 3 meters later, I'm stopped. It's secure. It's a fighting vehicle. It's not the best fighting vehicle, but it's going to protect our troops. So by far, we have the best equipment, the best young men and women. You know, people talk about the Pepsi generation, the X generation, whatever you want to call it. I call it a great nation. Not to be disrespectful towards World War II generation, they call it the great generation. But those young men and women out there are phenomenal. Lieutenants, E5s, corporals, making decisions every single day, and you should be very proud of them. Round of applause for all those young men and women.